back to the Cutting Room Podcast with your host, the Mass Creative, Damian King. I'm really excited about this interview that we're going to get into today. Guys, I'd love to introduce this man. As we go on in this interview, we're going to go down the line through his career and many experiences that he's had. None other than Shane Obedzinski.
Hey guys, thank you, man. Nice to see you again, Damien. I love the mask, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. So let's kind of get into how this happened, how this interviews happened, and when we met. So it's a Sunday night, sometime in December, and I get this like notification that there's going to be a meet and greet for you and Marty York, which for those who don't know, it's Repeat and also Yeah from The Sandlot. So which I'm a huge fan of the film. So I'm like, I gotta go. There's this opportunity like once in a lifetime just to meet people that I looked up to, that I watched for many years. So I showed up. It was through Ultimate Pastime, who's organizer for the meet and greet. And it was at a pizza shop. I can't recall the name of the pizza shop. Can you? Like New York.
New York's sports
in Rancho Cucamonga, we will say that. So
yeah,
I walked in, and sure enough, there they are, living legends, and lived up to the legend because they were really receptive. Both you and Marty were really receptive to me and everything. I was really appreciative about that, and I kind of presented the opportunity to want to interview both of them. And lucky enough, Shane was the first one to respond and everything. Really receptive. Shane, thank you for coming to the Cutting Room Podcast. And
no problem, man. Happy to be here, dude.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. So let's get right into it, actually.
Let's
you
go.
grew up in Florida.
I live in Tampa, Florida, yeah.
Tampa, Florida. Nice, nice. So who and how got you into acting?
I guess, I was too young. I started acting when I was 3. So my mom technically got me into it. There's a weird story where remember how in the old days like the malls were popular and they would have like cheerleaders in the mall, like a stage in the mall for like shows and stuff.
Yeah, the best time of era. Yeah, it's the best era ever.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And there was like a Garfield magic show. Some guy in a Garfield outfit doing magic. I don't know. And my mom says I ran up on stage and made him do a magic trick with me. I don't really remember all this that well, so it's kind of her story. Okay. But ever since then, she was like, all right, maybe he's not shy. Maybe he should try something like that. And within 6 months, I was doing a Kool-Aid commercial.
Yeah, that was your first experience on the set, correct?
Yeah, Kool-Aid. And we filmed that in Florida, too. So super easy, super fast. And then ever since then, it just kind of rolled. From that point to my late teens, it was pretty busy, man.
Okay. And then talking about Florida, there's your second project, or probably the third project you did was also shot in Florida, which was My Girl, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, My Girl with Macaulay Culkin and Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis and all them.
Nice. Do you have any stories of your set experience? You were in the opening scene.
Yeah, with Macaulay, I remember. There's a bunch of stories I could say about Macaulay and the situation with his father, and that was unfortunately kind of true. But he was such a good guy to work with and super cool. I actually wish I could see Macaulay again today. Okay. It's weird. I remember Jamie Lee Curtis of all things, she actually referenced this in an interview just recently on that popular guy who does shows overseas in Europe. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, I can't think of his name as well, but everyone's on there, and it's pretty much like a heck of an interview.
Exactly. Yeah. And she actually referenced her mouth on the set of My Girl. Mm-hmm. And that's a story I've had my entire life that I never really thought anyone no one else noticed. But she referenced that all she would do is curse and complain. And sometimes she was saying words I'd never heard before. Mm-hmm. So, and I thought it was a little weird. And, some of the adults were a little, standoffish that she was so aggressive with her language, but whatever. And it's funny that all these years later, she remembers that. And I don't know if she feels remorse for it. She shouldn't. But it's just funny that we still have those same memories together off of, 3 days on a set in, Florida. But
so it was only 3. So it was only 3 days.
I was there for 2 or 3 days. My scene was just in the beginning. Macaulay takes us, with I can't remember her name now, but she went on to do a lot of stuff.
Anna Chumsky.
Anna Klumsky.
Anna Klumsky.
Yep, and went to go see a dead body.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of us just goofing off on the porch. I mean, we're kids, man. So I mean, Macaulay was fresh off Home Alone, and everyone had eyes on him, and rightfully so. So it was just a bunch of kids goofing off on the front porch of some house, going to see a dead body. Mm-hmm. I wish I could remember all the stuff we would say, but we just, you know how kids become best friends really fast. We met and we were best friends for 3 days.
Actually, my first time viewing My Girl was actually to prep for this interview. I'd never seen prior.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed it.
Did you make it to the end?
It's what happened?
Did you make it to the end?
Of course.
Sad, man.
Dude. Like, and real coming of age. It really for young girls. Like, I think coming of age films usually kind of tend towards more to boys or men or whatever, teenagers, male teenagers. But this was one for women and girls, little girls, to like. It kind of it leads them into the unknown. And these types of films, coming of age is actually one of my favorite genres of film. It really schools you when sometimes maybe your parents or the people in your life don't prep you for, but these films kind of become your teachers. And that's for sure one movie that My Girl is so.
That's well said. I couldn't agree more. A good movie's a good teacher for life, man.
Yeah, it is. So from My Girl, then you came out in Matinee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did the casting happen for that one?
That ironically was also filmed in Florida.
Yeah.
Back at Universal Studios in the old days, they used to film a lot of movies at Universal Studios in the back lots and in the sound stages and all that. And now they're just basically used for haunted houses. And I just remember I used to do, I did the TV show Swamp Thing, which was filmed. If you've ever been to Islands of Adventure, or anyone who's heard of Islands of Adventure in Orlando,
yeah,
that used to be the set of Swamp Thing, before they built that theme park. And I used to work there a lot for that show. And that's kind of how I got in with working, an opportunity to work with Matinee, because they were also filming there. Mm-hmm. And I just had one small scene with John Goodman, but it was good. My first time having to use fake blood and fake cosmetic stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was pretty excited about that, being a kid.
Was it hard for you? I mean, you were really young, so I'm assuming some of the memories kind of a little like blurry, but how do you remember having to head to set, even though it was so close to where you live? Was there ever stress to like try to make a call time or wherever you were at? Were you still in school at the time?
No, once I started to get into, I was 3 when I started, but I never went to public school. I was homeschooled until almost 17. And then I went to public school, high school for like 2.5 years and made up all the credits to graduate on time. So we had a lot of leadway in how we could do our schedules. And then, of course, when you're young, the studios make you do a certain amount of schooling per hours every day, in case if it's a school day. So we did have schooling as well, but it was we had a very easy schedule to help that lifestyle.
Have you gone back to any of these film locations in Florida, like recently in the past years?
Maybe I almost said 5, but it's got to be longer than that now. I went back to the My Girl house with a friend of mine. I was doing a event out there. I think it's in Winter Haven. Mm-hmm. And we drove past the house. All the stuff in the Universal sound stages they're all gone. Mm-hmm. That stuff was built up. We did, Swamp Thing in there. Clarissa Explains It All, Matinee, all that stuff in there. And that's all gone now. But yeah, we go back to all the Sandlot stuff. That's still there, thankfully.
Yeah, and that's what brings me to pull out this little piece of memorabilia.
Oh boy, what do we got?
So this is a ball signed by both you and Marty, and also Chauncey. It's only nice. the 3 signatures that I have, and hope to one day fill it up with all you guys. But
I'll make sure to help you with that, man.
What happened?
I'll make sure to help you with that.
Oh, appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much. I could have been 7 years old at the time. When my siblings, it was in that era when you have an older sibling, you're not supposed to be in the room when they're not home. And right. I sneak in because there's a collection of films, VHS films. One of them was Heavyweights. The other one had to have been, oh man, one of them was heavyweights, and then Rookie of the Year was another one.
Oh, the old Thomas film, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was this one with an iconic picture with these kids surrounding this one guy on a fence behind him, and I popped that VHS in and fell in love, just like everybody that's ever watched the film The Sandlot. Really, it's more than just a baseball movie. It's a film that it's in that era when your best friends mean more to you than your family. In a way, they're your real family. You know, especially
Yeah.
when you're a new kid on the block, don't know anybody. Um, you guys really saved Smalls in that film and gave him friendship, brotherhood, got him out of a pickle, literally. How did you get casted for The Sandlot?
I my first audition for that was in Miami, and that's about, we'll say, a 5-6 hour drive from Tampa, where I'm at. So we used to go to Miami often for auditions. You know, it's just how it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
So we drove to Miami for the audition and drove home. When we got back to the house, and remember, this is the old days where it's fax machines and voicemails.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got back to the house, we had a voicemail waiting for us that they wanted to do the callback the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really do anything except just get back in the car and drive back there again because, you know, the drive time, all that stuff. And then did the callback, drove back home, and I felt really good about it. I thought, you know, it was a go. And then that was it. Didn't hear anything for weeks. Out of the blue, we got a phone call that said, "Hey, this is so-and-so. You're hired. You're going to LA. Be ready tomorrow." And the next morning, had a limo pick me up outside my mom's house and took us to the airport. And that night, I was in LA. And we started this weird journey figuring out that movie.
And you were actually part of an original group that was initially casted, right? They had to recast pretty much the whole team, but you were the one to actually be in the one that was actually casted.
It's weird. You're absolutely right. Originally, the movie had younger kids. And they kind of, once they started working with younger kids or trying to figure out how it could work, it was too difficult. I mean, this is from what I remember and what they tell me. It was too hard to work with that kind of film with 6 and 7 year olds, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So they upped the age, and I was 9. I actually turned 10 while filming. Mm-hmm. So I was the only boy that didn't get sent home. And I remember originally when it was a younger crew, I had read for Smalls and I think Yaya's role as well. Mm-hmm. And then once we got, you know, an older group in there, we were at the Sportsman's Lodge, which I believe just got tore down in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. It's been there this whole time, but we were at the Sportsman's Lodge, and every day we'd wake up and we'd rehearse with a bunch of kids and practice different roles and whatnot. And then the next day we'd wake up and 20 kids would be gone. And the next day, 20 more. And then one day we woke up and there was 9 kids. And they said, "Okay, this is it." And I was the youngest, obviously, and the one that was held over from the other group. And they said, "I'm in." And that's it. Never went back.
So yeah, you said you had turned 10 during the production, which means that the film was shot during the summer. Your birthday's in July, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What was it? What happened offset? You guys, I hear stories that you guys had pretty much like pool parties nonstop when you guys weren't filming. Do you have any memories of that, or any good memories you could tell us?
Man, so many good memories. There's one that we actually talk about often where they put us in an apartment complex. So we all had our own little apartments. Mm-hmm. And then across the street was like a grocery store. It was one of those old school 90s shopping centers with a grocery store, an arcade, and a movie theater. Mm-hmm. So we would go across the street whenever we had time and see movies. And, you know, everyone knows the story now where we snuck into Basic Instinct and all that stuff. But I remember more that, you know, every week we would get per diem. Yeah. And our parents let us buy Super Nintendos with Street Fighter 2.
Nice.
with our per diem. And that was, I think we all got one. And that was like the best. We didn't even want to shoot the film anymore. We just wanted to stay in the apartment and play Street Fighter 2. And every night when we'd get back from filming, we would end up in someone's apartment playing Street Fighter until our parents literally dragged us away and said, we got to go to bed because we're shooting the next morning at 6 a.m. or whatever it was. And that was, it's one of those times where you don't realize how special it is when you're doing it because you're just a kid. But looking back, that's the perfect time of your life.
Yeah.
Nothing could have been smoother.
Actually, I visited Salt Lake, and I visited some of the Sandlot spots, which is what I'm going to pull out right now.
All right.
This is dirt that I grabbed from the Sandlot, the actual Sandlot.
Nice, man.
So it to me, to any person who loves this film, it's the Sandlot itself is sacred ground because history happened there. And you also collected something from the set during the reunions. Am I correct?
I did.
That was, I think, leaves from the treehouse. Yeah,
man. The story is that the tree wasn't originally there. Mm-hmm. It was in another part of town. So the tree was getting cut down. So they dragged it across town, and that tree is in pretty much every long shot in the entire film.
Yeah,
you don't realize it, but it's there in the background of 90% of the film. Mm-hmm. So the leaves had to remain, alive and vibrant in the same color. And it was a dead tree. They just kind of replanted there. So the prop department put green vinyl leaves all over the tree. Mm-hmm. And the leaves on the tree you see are fake. And when I went back there for the 20th anniversary and the 25th, if you kick around in the dirt where the tree was, you can find old vinyl leaves that just are still there. And I thought that was the coolest thing, man.
Nice. So you actually weren't, or correct me if I'm wrong, was your sister also in the Sandlot?
She was. The scene where we go to the carnival and we all throw up and all that stuff. There's a girl when the carnival ride is over who's covered in throw up, runs off the ride screaming. Mm-hmm. That's my sister.
Can you recall like how that happened? Was she also pursuing acting, or was she just on set and it just happened to happen?
Both actually. She was pursuing acting back then. She was in Edward Scissorhands and did a couple other movies, Prom Child with John Ritter back then. And my dad and my sister stayed back in Florida when my mom and myself went to Utah. Mm-hmm. But for a week, they came to visit on set. Mm-hmm. And that was the week when we were filming the carnival scene. Mm-hmm. And they needed a extra to get thrown up on and run off the ride and blah, blah, blah. And of course, my mom suggested my sister, and I was all about it. Mm-hmm. And she said yes, and the rest is history. And people see it every day, her running around with throw up on her, and it makes me happy.
And that's funny, actually. Problem Child 1 and 2 was actually part of that collection of films I would sneak in to watch. Now that you remind me, really good comedy films. If you haven't seen it,
they are. They're kind of forgotten. The Problem Child films were great.
If you really think about it, the year that it came out, it was vulgar. It was for sure. It would have been canceled. It wouldn't even get a theatrical release. You're
right. Actually, it is. You forget now how things were a little different back then. I remember when The Simpsons came out. My dad didn't want me to watch The Simpsons because they said "damn."
Yeah.
And now The Simpsons just seems so, pale in comparison to other stuff.
Yeah. So, what ignited the decision to leave acting?
A little bit of wanting to get out on my own, do my own thing, which was motivated by just me becoming, I don't want to say a man necessarily, but I wasn't a boy. I wasn't a teenager. I was growing. I got big into music. I'm a drummer. Mm-hmm. And I did music from, I guess, my late teens into my late 20s. I still got the drum set behind me, as you can kind of see. And that became my focus. And I was in a couple bands, and that's really where my heart was. I really wanted to pursue that and make that my career. And I pushed everything else aside for that. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out like I hoped, but in the end, it's all good. But
Did,
that's kind of what pushed me away from acting.
did you have any certain musical influences? What influenced you?
As far as drums, I mean, of course, Led Zeppelin, John Bonham, all that
Mm.
stuff. In the '90s, the grunge thing I kind of got into for a bit, and I look back and it's maybe not as great as I thought it was, but Nirvana and Pearl Jam, just seeing those guys, but also being a drummer, that was very influential for how I wanted to pursue and how I wanted to be. So yeah, that's at heart. I guess the music, for me, grew from the '90s, but it didn't stay there, thankfully. But that's kind of where my heart started.
Actually, one of my favorite drummers I actually got to see in this past September at the SoFi was Trey Cool with Green Day.
Green Day,
Yeah,
dude,
nice.
he's fast, man. Um, Fun story. Thomas C. and Nicholas from Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
He does music. He's touring all around the world doing his music. Every now and then we'll do a show together, and at the end of the show, the signing or whatever, he's playing somewhere that night, him and his band. And sometimes he just does solo gigs.
Yeah,
And
I've actually watched one of his lives on TikTok.
yeah,
I was like, wow, he's a musician now, and checked it out as well.
yeah.
But I
Myself and Victor, who played my brother in the Sandlot,
mhm.
he stayed with me for a bit, and he's a guitarist, and we play and we jam. So we actually play Basket Case from Green Day with Thomas whenever we're together. If he's got a show,
Dude,
we
that's
go up on
awesome.
stage and jump on the instruments and rock it out with him, and it's a ton of fun.
I It's probably a song that is overplayed. My friends could confirm it. There, "When I Come Around" by Green Day is my all-time favorite pop punk song ever.
I remember that video. There's the three of them, and he's in that sweater just walking around.
It's an iconic sweater. It really like paved that style. Like what Kurt Cobain didn't do, Billy Joel Armstrong like pushed it even further. That whole
Well said.
sweater and everything. But and I do gotta thank you for getting me into a band when I was doing my review for this interview. The band Thursday.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I started listening to them a little more. Are you still into them? You still listen? Keep up with them?
big time. It's weird. They were supposed to play here in Tampa tonight, but the winter storm got everyone stuck in Atlanta, so they canceled the show. And we had snow in Florida for the first time in like 40 years yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So everything kind of went bizarre.
And then we got the fires here in LA, and these winds are kicking up, dude. It's crazy.
Well, another fire started today. The group chat with us and the boys, Marty was saying there's a fire close to his house now.
Yeah, I saw that story as well. And have you heard from him? Is he doing okay? Like, how close is it?
He says it's 2 towns away from where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
So geographically, I don't know exactly, and
Okay.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
That's obvious. But he actually just left on a plane to Houston.
Okay.
There's a gig this weekend in Houston, so he left his house. So hopefully it doesn't get bad.
Yeah, hopefully not. And we pray that nothing happens to anybody in that area, as well as Marty York and everything.
Too much already, man.
Yeah, no, we're losing. We've lost too many people and too many things, and people are losing. So,
yeah.
But going back to the Sandlot, the reunions, was it hard to go back?
I got to experience it 2 different times in 2 different ways. When they called us to do the 20th anniversary and go back to the Sandlot and all that, I still hadn't quite realized what the movie had become.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many people, loved it, cherished it. It'd been so influential to people's lives. I had no clue. I was learning, and I was seeing the merchandise in the stores, and I was going, when you go to Spencer's and see yourself on a t-shirt, you're kind of like, for the first time you see it, I didn't understand. I was like, why are we on a shirt? We made that movie 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So they brought us back to Utah where we filmed it for the 20th anniversary, and they sold tickets for the event on the Sandlot, watching the movie with us on the Sandlot. And I believe the capacity was like 6,100 or something like that.
Yeah.
And tickets sold out in under a minute.
I bet. And you guys have celebrated the 30th at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. And I just remember going out there and experiencing that, and I was blown away that it meant so much to so many. Mm-hmm. And it was emotional, but it was hard to wrap my head around, you know. And that's really when everyone else around the world realized that we can go out and see people and meet people and do all that. And that's become a thing of my life the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. So when we came back for the 25th anniversary, same thing, every 5 years, I knew what to expect, but it was still overwhelming, the response from people and all the love you get. And I was able to see it differently in that way, where I knew what to expect so I could appreciate it differently instead of just being jaw open, wondering why these people have my face on a t-shirt. And going back, the second time I was able to see it differently. And I appreciated that as well. I got lucky to be able to see it both ways a little bit. And as you said, now we've been back for the third time for the 30th anniversary. And it's the same thing, man, every time. Tickets sell out, people go crazy. It means so much, you know.
And like the Legend of the Beast, these guys will live on and continue doing this for all the fans that have ever watched this film. But I gotta ask you, what is the name of the group chat?
I don't have a name for the group chat.
No way. You gotta come up with a name for the group chat.
Oh my God, I've never even thought of that. I don't have a name for the group chat. Well, I'll be honest with you. We have like 2, sometimes 3, because we have one with just us, and then we have one with some of our agents in it.
Okay.
And then sometimes we forget which one we're texting.
It's like the business one, and then the one with the boys.
Right. So maybe because we've actually made a mistake and started talking about the agents before in the wrong group chat. So maybe I do need to name. I wonder if the other guys have named theirs.
Yeah, you have to check on that. I'm actually glad I gave you guys that idea, because when I heard about this in another interview that you did, that you guys got a group chat, and I'm the group chat guy. Like, my friends will tell you, like, he's the one always like, wow, this guy just stays on this chat. And I know everyone's busy, but I for sure come up with a name. It has to look cool. It has to have a good emoji and everything. But yeah, I'm glad I gave you that idea to come up with the name for that. And
you got a suggestion? We can name it right now.
Oh man. Okay, and it's just the cast that's on that.
It's
really?
Just the cast, yeah, just us. It's a lot of pressure. I mean, a lot of pressure.
And I was like, what if he asked you for a name? And I should have thought of one, and I can't. Oh man!
I'll ask you again before we finish up. How about that?
Okay, for sure. It'll stay in my head for sure.
Deal.
How good was the Sandlot series script?
It was incredible, but it was so much better than what you guys saw. And I mean that in the best way possible. There were so many other things that we filmed that never made it into the movie. I mean, the movie is only like 88 minutes. So if they fit everything in there, it would have been 2 hours. And in the 90s, a 2-hour movie wouldn't have sold, you know?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I actually meant the TV series script. Was there plans for a TV series on Disney Plus?
Oh my God, man. Okay. I'm going to say the same answer again. It's so good. Right before COVID, we had a meeting with it, and we all went over the script, and we got some pages in the email, and I can't express to you. I didn't know how they were going to work certain things, and how they were going to handle some of the guys, and of course James, you know, Mr. Myrtle and all that stuff. It's still on the table, so COVID did kill it for a couple of years, but it's ironic you bring it up. I actually texted the director the other day, just a stupid picture we could laugh about. And he gave me a brief little update, which is hopeful.
Okay.
But the script it's crazy good. It's us and our kids 30 years later.
Nice.
And I can't give away too much, obviously, but every summer we go back to the Sandlot, and we spend the summer there with our friends, just like the old days.
Nice.
And that's, there's a plot and everything. And it's, I know I wasn't the only one as we were listening to it who got emotional. I know the other guys did too. It's very, very good.
The next question I'm going to ask, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but it's the personal, in me, wants to ask it. Was there ever opportunities or was there ever contact to Mike Vitar to come back or no?
To come back for the show, to my knowledge, there's been no contact, no offer.
Okay.
The last time any of us got to talk to him, and it was only email, it wasn't even physical, was we did a huge event at Dodger Stadium, and they made it like a Sandlot day, and after the game, they invited people onto the field. We played the movie on the Jumbotron, and it was a sold-out game for the Dodgers, but almost everyone stayed for the movie. So you're watching the movie with, I don't know, 30,000 people, whatever capacity is there.
Yeah.
And it got some good press on, TV and local papers. And the next day we had an email from one of our agents, from Mike, that he just saw all the stuff on TV and he was really happy and really proud. And of course wished he, could see us and all that, but he chooses to just kind of do his own thing. As you know, he's a firefighter in LA. So
yeah,
that's obviously huge, but especially right now, that's even bigger than before.
Yeah.
So he's just living that life now, and that's what he's chosen. So love him nonetheless, man.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. You actually became a businessman. Can we talk about your business that you own?
Yeah, man. Just over 14 years ago, I opened a restaurant here in Tampa, a little pizza shop with a bar, and it's rough going, and wasn't sure how it was going to be smooth or not, but it's been quite the journey. It's been pretty gratifying, man. To do something that big and have it actually work out. So yeah, it's been a big part of my life now, and it's fun, man. It's crazy, but it's fun.
When we were setting this interview up, you actually the first thing you said, like, "Hey, man, I know your things about wrestling. I don't know nothing about wrestling." I'm like, "Dude, don't worry, we'll find stuff to talk about." But there is actually a connection to wrestling and you. What's Triple H's go-to pizza?
Triple H's go-to pizza. When I went and brought him pizza, what was it? I think it was just a Supreme or something.
Okay. Oh, standard. Okay.
Yeah.
The King of Kings is standard in his pizza. Okay.
Yeah. But not just him, though, necessarily. I mean, we're in Tampa.
Which is where NXT is at. So a lot of these NXT talent and their performance centers down there.
Right. So, I mean, Hogan is literally on the other side of the bridge from me.
Nice.
He's got, his beach house and his shop and all that stuff. And I've been in there before, and it's weird to be in like a wrestling town, because not just north of here, John Cena lives too.
Oh, nice. Oh, so you're around everybody then.
Yeah. And it's, and not being a wrestling guy, it's weird to like be centralized in a wrestling community and not be into it, which I'm not a hater, but I just never got into it.
But one thing you are into are theme parks.
Dude.
Yeah.
I can't help.
What's your favorite theme park of all time?
I mean, I have to say Magic Kingdom, just, for the memories. I know it's the cliche answer, but there's a reason why it's the most popular theme park in the world. It isn't the best anymore, but there's a reason why everyone keeps going back there. The castle, the People Mover, I could sit on that thing all day and just ride around Tomorrowland and be happy as anything, man. So that's always my go-to.
Do you have like a certain, like when you're there, it's the first thing you got to go to, the first thing you got to do?
No, and when I was younger, I kind of had that, but now I have the luxury of going there whenever I want, because I have a pass and I've done everything so many times. I can just go there and be easy about it and just be happy I'm there. And if what I want to do is a 2-hour wait, then I'm okay with it. I'll grab a Mickey bar and hang out on the bench for a bit and people watch. And it's just the energy and the vibe from that place alone. Just seeing all the people happy there, man. It's a good place to be, just to do nothing sometimes.
Yeah, and just be
sometimes you'll just find me on a bench hanging out.
Nice. In one of your posts that I saw, you mentioned your dad I think he would take you to Comic Cons or would try to take you to Comic Cons.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a favorite experience at a certain Comic Con?
I do actually. That's a great question. Like, growing up, I was big into comics. I still have a collection. If I moved a little bit, you could probably see the old boxes of my comics behind me. But yeah, my dad used to, he supported that and would take me to Comic Cons. And back then, Comic Cons aren't what they are now.
Yeah, no.
They were in abandoned stores or, just, weird places. They weren't a big deal. But one of the bigger ones came through to town, and it was inside an old abandoned, I want to say Sears or JCPenney. And I got to meet Stan Lee.
Nice.
And I remember even back then, I knew Stan Lee was a big deal. And you had to pay extra to get the certificate, the old school certificate that said this is his autograph, blah, blah, blah. They do it a little differently now. But and he knew he was special, but he didn't give you that vibe of pompous or anything. He was the coolest dude, shook my hand, signed my comic, asked my question, which I don't even remember what it was, and it was probably something stupid. And then I smiled and felt incredible and walked away. And that's why Stan Lee's the man.
Do you still have that comic?
I do. It would say X-Men 25th anniversary, hologram cover with Gambit, if I remember correctly.
Did you like the Shannon Tatum's version of Gambit in Deadpool?
I really like Channing Tatum.
Okay. we'll leave it at that. We'll go back to a little bit on the Sandlot. Only one quick thing you mentioned when you guys do the things at the fields, the baseball fields, the famous stadiums. You're not a baseball fan. You're a hockey guy.
I'm a hockey guy, ironically. Yeah.
Who's your team?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay.
Been here my whole life.
But
even when they were bad, they were good.
Yeah. Even though you're not a baseball guy, has there ever been like a pinch me moment when a baseball player does come up to you and say, "Hey, you guys are the reason I play this game today"?
That actually happens often, and that is very much incredible feeling. I know Big Papi has walked up to us before, and he recognized us before he was told who we were, and he was looking at us like, "I know you guys." And he was like a little kid again meeting us. And he told us stories about him growing up, and that was very special because he's someone who so many people look up to, and say someone like that looks up to you. It's very humbling. Pedro Martinez, we had a great experience with him about a year and a half ago. We were at a big, the National, which is America's largest sports show.
Yeah.
And he was backstage and he was looking around and he saw us, and you could see the wheels were turning a little bit. Like, I know those guys, but I don't know them. How do I know them? And then someone said, that's the Sandlot cast. And before that, he was looking a little stressed. He was working, and he blew up. Smiles, literally jogged over to us and started shaking our hands. And that was, Pedro Martinez. It's fantastic. So those moments happen quite often. And it's very, very humbling. It's very cool.
With all the routes that life has taken you, what is the legacy that you hope that you leave behind?
Man, that's a great question and deep, tough. If anything, not just, the Sandlot, but the people have given so much back to me as far as, love and kindness for a simple, almost stupid movie. And they've made me part of their life. And there's a responsibility I feel when you go out there to meet people. You don't want to let them down. You know what I mean? Yeah. You want to make sure that, what love they have for the movie and how they want to share that with you is, met. And I never, ever want to have them, feel betrayed by that, because they've given me so much. So if there's any sort of legacy that, I could leave, I was, maybe thankful and aware of the love I was given, and hopefully everyone can see that I did my best to give it back. And that's all I guess I could ask for.
Nice. Was it all worth it every decision, every change in your life, would you take it back?
No. I mean, looking back, there's always things you could change a little bit. Maybe you would say yes here and no there, or different options. But coming from something, starting acting when you're 3 and not going to public school and being raised a little differently, not with different expectations, and you come across something where anywhere I go in the world, people have seen something that I've been a part of and they love it, and they have a memory they want to share with me. So, I mean, however that played out in this universe, I wouldn't change that at all, because it might change other people's experiences with what we share together all over this world now. And, me and the guys say it all the time, every city we go to, we already have friends.
Yeah.
And whether or not they want to cook us dinner or hang out with us that night or just meet us and shake our hand, we have friends every city across the entire world. And that's how lucky are we to be a part of something where, their love is so abound. So, yeah, I guess when you put it out, it wouldn't change a thing.
You guys do a signing. What's a standard night with the boys?
Well, I don't drink.
Okay.
So I do a lot of babysitting.
Okay.
But standard night, no, man, we stay close to the hotel. We find a place to hang out for a couple hours that's safe and drink and just hang out. And we make it back to our hotels safe and sound. Sometimes really late. But and this is going to sound cliche too, but we really like just hanging out together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going to be in New York in a week and a half, all of us together. And we texted the group tonight about it. And we were like, hey, looking forward to seeing you guys in a week. It's been, 2 or 3 months almost since we've been together. And the holidays slows us down a little bit. So we're just excited to just be together. So, I mean, it's awesome.
And it upsets me that I can't think of a name for this group chat. Like, honestly, like, I'm thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, what, Big Chiefs? No. Is it going to be a movie reference, or it has to be something meaningful to them? The bond.
Originally I went to like Legends Never Die. But then I was like, I can't name my own group chat Legends because I'm in that group chat. Uh-huh. So it's a little, so yeah, we'll come up with something. I'll text you one day, or you can text me one day and be like, this is it.
This is it. Yeah. And see if everybody approves, and then for sure. And I'll be like, I named the group chat of the Sandlot kids. Dude, that's awesome.
But now I'm going to ask them if they've named their group chat. Because
it gives the option on different people's phones. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So they might have a name for their group chat with me in it, and I have no clue.
Okay. Send me some of the names. I'd love to know which ones they have, or the ideas that have bounced around. But I will say this: next time I'm in Tampa, because I've been there before. I went to Disney World, stayed over there, and then drove to Clearwater Beach.
Okay, yeah, that's not too far from here.
Okay, yeah, best beach in the world to me. I haven't been to many beaches other than what's here in LA and everything, or Cancun, but Clearwater Beach. And I for sure got to stop by at Times Square Pizza.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. It might be a different name by then. We're doing some changes this year, but I'll keep you in touch on that. But nonetheless, man, if you're in Tampa, you got to come see me.
For sure, always, and for sure love to. That's actually one of my things when I go on trips, is that I have to have a local pizza at least one time during the trip. I've done it, and many trips that I've done, whether it's San Francisco, I've been even Rosarito. I had to even get some pizza down there, see what it's like. I think the time that I went to I was in the Kissimmee area. That's where my Airbnb was at.
That's the Disney World area, yeah.
But then I'm like, no, there's not much to do here. Let's go find the waters and let's go to the beach. But it was a great trip. I didn't do any film sites when I went, but next time I'm going, I'm doing film sites all through that area, and for sure visiting you, man.
Please do, man. That'd be great. I'd love to see you. I'll go to the film sites with you, man. There's quite a few in Orlando area.
Dude, we got to make a thing of it for sure, dude. That's awesome for you to say and offer that. Honestly,
yeah, man. Count me in.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Cutting Room Podcast. like, subscribe, comment on the channel. The Only Damian King on Instagram, the Only Damian King on TikTok. That it was out for the count only for one day, but it's back. And I hope you guys like today. And that's a cut.